Thanks, Felicia. Hey guys, happy Friday. We've got David in the chat again today. And for those of you who weren't here last week, he is John Bead's graphic designer. And it's a treat to have him here. Thank you, David, for helping us. Carmi's on travel, but she'll be back next week. And today we have our waxed knotting thread class. And so this is a near and dear to my heart one. And it's a really cool way to just take any beads. And I mean any beads, guys. You can do this with literally any beads. And this cord is very thin but very strong, so you can get it through most beads. I easily get it through a size 8 seed bead, and if I try, I can get it through a size 11. And so this is just one example. I'm also wearing a bracelet example of the many things you can do with waxed cord. So a lot of you guys, if you've been beading for a while, you've probably already tried techniques similar to this one, and maybe you've used wax linen, or maybe you've used some cotton or something in the lawn families like the S-lawn, B-lawn, things like that, C-lawn. So this is going to look, feel, and behave kind of like a hybrid between waxed linen and a fine C-lawn. So anyone out there familiar with those, using those for macrame, this is kind of how it's going to feel. And the thread that is at Michael's, we have 3 colors. There's black, which I'll work with today, so you can see clearly all of the stitches and everything, but there's also natural and there's white. And so that might be cool. For one of the things I was thinking about when I was making my bracelet is if I'd done this on white, it could be more like a candy cane and more holiday themed. But there's just really, sky's the limit. You can take 2 different colors of cord and combine them, because this is a design that's worked with 2 strands. So you can bring 2 together, and don't be afraid to try mixing it up. Maybe do like a messy necklace with lots of different strands going. So today I'm just going to teach you the very basic of how to do this knot. And then I'm going to show you a couple options for closing them. And then from there, you guys take it from there. Just share your work. So on the mat, I've got everything that I used to do the sample. But again, you're not limited in any way to the beads that I used or the colors that I've chosen or anything like that. There is a class handout. And the class handout has all of the Michael's part numbers for everything that I'm using today on the mat. So everything from the beads that I used to the type of thread. So if you're shopping from home and you want to have it shipped to you or do like a same-day delivery, you just type the SKU that's shown here into your app and it'll fill your cart. Don't forget those coupons, because those are really cool. There's some really good ones going on right now. I was just in my Michael's yesterday, and I saw some good stuff. So today I'm going to be using a couple of tools that's new-ish to us. There's knotting tweezers and tapestry needles. So you can find these in the beading section on the tool wall. And I put the SKU there. And then you can find the tapestry needles in the embroidery section. So this is where you'd find like the DMC floss and all of that stuff. So go down that aisle and then grab one of these. And it will fit this this cord, and it's really, like I was saying, it's thin but strong, so it's all the benefits of being able to hold its shape, and because it's waxed, but it's going to go through your beads with ease. So I'm just going to get started. So to figure out how much length you need, decide what you're making. So for example, if you're making a bracelet, if you're making a necklace, just decide what length you would like, and cut 2 strands that are 1.5 times that length. And what I found is, I mean, it's not 100% always going to be exactly, but almost every time I do this design, it consumes about half of the length. So if you do 1.5, you'll have enough to cover the amount of thread that will be consumed by your knots. So, and you'll need 2 of those, because this is worked with 2 strands. So for our class today, I was thinking, so I can make sure, absolutely sure, that I get through finishing a design, I'm going to do maybe more of a bracelet length. So I'd like my bracelet to be about 7 inches. And then I'd also like to leave about 9 inches or so in tail for me to do some maneuvering with my knots at the end. So I'm going to cut a pretty good length here. So there's my, let's see, it's so 14. 18. I go with like 21 to 27. Extra is better than not enough. So that's kind of what I'm going with. And then I'm going to just match what I did with a second strand. So I'm giving myself a lot of extra just so that I have plenty of room for doing a barrel knot. And that is what the tapestry needle's for. You don't need it to thread. You'll just need it at the end for doing the closure. I have a kind of a cool way of showing you guys to do that. So here's my strands, and I cut about 21 inches or so. And that's just, extra tail length and 1.5 times my desired length. I'm going to bring these ends together. And I'm going to find my tail. So my mat here is actually a measure. So I'm just going to measure out about 7 to 9 inches there. And I'm going to do a overhand knot. So here's my tail length here. And just marking the spot where I want my overhand knot to sit. And this is where the tweezers can really shine for helping you position knots. So to do an overhand knot, the best way to do it is to just kind of pinch the spot where you'd like your knot to be. And don't worry, we're going to be doing this over and over. And then just bring your cord around. And then I usually just kind of get my finger through and pull it through the loop. Then I'll bring the tweezers in, and you want to go through your loop and pinch the spot where you'd like your knot to stay. And then when you pull tight, it should knot up for you there. Oops, I went the wrong way there. Sorry about that. So again, you just want to bring your tweezers in through the center loop and pinch the spot on the cord where you'd like your knot to sit, and then pull those tails. And you should get something that looks like that. And so that's all there is to it, really. It's just the simplest way. And with this cord, these knots stay in place really nicely. I find that I don't even really need to tighten that much, but if you wanted to, you can pull each strand individually. What I didn't do on this design, if any of you guys have taken any of my silk knotting classes, and you probably have noticed that I did not do the pull apart. If you do this, it's going to move the knot a little bit down. But the goal of this design is to have a little bit of air around the beads. And this is where you have complete control of how these beads are going to sit on this cord. So for example, on this one, you see these have some wiggle room. And that's by design. And that's part of the look. That looks so cool. And I remember when I first learned to do this a long time ago, what I loved about it was it spaced out the beads. So it maximizes your beads, and you can get more length with less beads than if you were doing, for example, a traditional pearl knotting with silk, where you have to bring the bead down and then you're getting that knot right next to the bead. In that case, you'd be pulling them like this, right? To tighten it down. In this case, we're not going to do that. We're just going to, every time we do a knot, we're just going to pull them like that. Okay, so let me show you with some beads. Let's get some beads going. I'm going to start with my crystals. And, if you notice in the beginning, I had 2 strands of the Czech designer strands out. For a full length necklace, you might want to. I didn't use all of my second one, but you might, depending on the length that you want. But then that said, you can go into your stash and just stash dive and grab anything you've got, and it's going to work. And I spaced mine with crystal. I just kind of did a crystal and Czech glass combination. Okay, so here's our knot. This is our tail side. So tail side's over here. And I'm going to grab the long ends, find those, bring those ends together. And let's just bring on a bead. And bring it onto one strand. And then just slide it down to meet your knot. So it's just going to be on one strand, kind of right next to your knot there. And then I'm going to just do that same knot again, but this time I'm going to do it close to the bead. And again, it doesn't have to be, something that's exactly right now, because we're going to use our tweezers to help us, right? So bead here, I'm just going to put my fingers like that, and then just bring the cord around. And you'll want to cross it. That's what I forgot to do the first time when I was just getting started. And you'll develop motor memory for this where it becomes really quick. And then just bring that through.
Question from Ailey says, have you done a pearl method class? Is it very different from this method?
I did a pearl class for Beads of Courage. And if you guys would like one, I'll do one for Michael's. We could do one maybe in December with some silk. Actually, I was thinking we could do it with this thread too, because I think we can get 2 strands through. So the trick with that is you bring both strands through the bead. I have a way that is I don't want to say it's unusual because lots of people do it, but it's definitely not the traditional pearl knot way. So hey, if there's votes for that, let me know, and I'll throw that on our December agenda. I've got 2 classes for December done, and I've just got one more that I'm looking for. So hey, that would be a great one, right? And it's fast, so it's a gift. Okay, so we got the loop on that, and oh, and great question. Thank you for that question. And so I'm going to just bring again the tweezers through this loop. And what I'm going to do after that is, you see how I'm going to pinch both strands. So I'm pinching both strands, the one that's coming around the side of the bead and the one that's on top of the bead. You can just kind of adjust it like that. It doesn't need to be perfect. No worries. And as long as you're kind of toward the end of your tool, that's going to work too. Let's come up to the top here and just pull it. What's going to happen is it's going to bring all of that kind of close to your bead. The knot is not tight yet. Not worried about it. Pull the tool out and then just go like that. And there you go. Perfect. And that's literally all you have to do. Super, super easy. Goes super fast, gives you lots of really beautiful spacing and air around your beads. It has a really cool, like, just, we used to call these festival necklaces, because like at music festivals, where people are wearing the really long necklaces, that was really in style a little bit a ways, not a ways back, but maybe a few years back when I was still going to music festivals. If that gives you any indication. But they were the thing that I just loved making most, because I could just go to my stash and get any beads that inspired me, gemstones, meaningful Czech glass beads or beautiful finds, things that I found when I was out and about, and then just literally just sit there with some wax linen and just stitch them up.
Got a question from Winnie. Could you do this with an easy knotter?
Okay, so the easy knotter works better with one strand from what I understand. It's not a John Bead product, so I'm not super familiar with it, but I would say that you can absolutely use this cord and the technique that was demonstrated by Leslie Rogalski on her class that she did with easy knotter. This cord will work great. I'm guessing. I think one strand's going to work better than 2, but that said, I haven't tried it, and so I would say try it and tell me, because I'm not sure. But yeah, it's a good idea and super fun. So I'm bringing on another bead here, and we're just going to do this a few times till I get a good bracelet length. And if anyone has, oh, and that's a great question from Kara. Okay, so it becomes very difficult to tell which strand is which after you start. So for example, I put the bead on one side, then I did my knot, and now on the other side of this knot, which one of these strands is the one the bead's on over here? I mean, I've never really truly been able to tell, and I'm not sure it matters. You can try to make it so that the one that's kind of facing down, if that's important to you, but in the end, they just move around anyway. So, they spin while you're wearing it. Let me show you on the finished one. As you're wearing them, they're doing this, right? They're moving. Everything's flowy, like a little waterfall. So you don't really need to worry about which strand. I honestly just don't even think about it. I put the bead on there and then I just go.
Priscilla asks, can you use the silk thread for the same project?
Yes. Yeah, this can be worked with almost any thread. I do love this thread. I know I talk about it a lot because I actually helped with some of the testing for it, and my feedback was incorporated into some of the development at the time, and I was very excited about this thread because it has all the features that I wish all of the threads out there. I just took all my favorite threads and combined them into this hybrid thing. It's basically a wax linen that doesn't ply open. You know how like 2-ply, 3-ply, 4-ply, you can sit there and fan out, which actually has some design potential, but this one doesn't instantly do that. And so you just get what's almost like a needle. It's almost like a needle. So it's basically like waxed version of Ceylon in a lot of ways. It's cool. It's really cool. And the knots stay put. That's another thing because it's got that little waxy surface. So here's our bead. It's on here. And again, I'm just going to go around, and then just kind of bring.
Got an interesting question from Carol. It's like, could you use 3 strands so that there would be 1 thread on each side of the bead?
Yes, absolutely. You could absolutely do that. And that would look very cool. Yeah. Hey, Carol, if you do that, will you please share it in the group? I want to see, because that sounds really cool. That would be super neat. And so see how it gets a little close there to the knot, but when you pull it out, sorry, to the bead, it's this step right here where you just pull and tighten. It gives it the magic. So let's get some Czech glass. Let's look what happens when you throw different size beads. That's the other super, super cool thing about this technique is that you can use all the beads you have, including beads with weird shapes. So big beads, little beads, you can combine basically anything and you will get a really cool result.
Another one from Priscilla. She says, how do you undo a knot if I were to make a mistake?
It's a little tricky because these are meant to not come undone, but you can. The way that I've heard people successfully be able to do this is you get a beading awl, or you can use a sewing needle or even your tapestry needle, and you want to try to get into the belly of the knot. If you have a magnifier, that can really greatly help. I've been in that situation a few times on a different type of knotting, on a pearl knot, where I felt like it wasn't close enough, and you just got to get that belly to open, and then you would take this and start pushing, just pushing a little bit to get it to open up. But I'm not gonna lie, it's tricky, and a lot of times I end up kind of redoing it. But it's doable. It's worth a try especially if you've come a long way in your work and you're getting towards being finished. When that happens, I know I feel that.
Are those
Yeah.
black beads faceted?
No. Well, well, I wouldn't call it faceted. These are table cut around in 3 places.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they have like a cool Picasso wash on them. They're transparent, but they really look like, to me, when I looked at this, even though it's not the same shape in any way, but it feels to me like a Fresnel lens in a lighthouse, doesn't it? It's kind of like
Yeah, no, I was getting that kind
I
of a
was
feel
having
for
that
it.
lighthouse feeling as I spun it.
Yeah.
I really love this bead. And then these look like clouds, nebulas, space, ghosty.
That's very trippy.
Yeah, like super cool bead. I love these beads. And these are like little planets, little Jupiters, or it's all these little swirly.
Jupiters or yeah, those
Yeah.
are very exotic.
And ripples are awesome. And these are just like a good old, gosh, I would call it maybe even a smoky quartz. It's Czech glass, but it to me looks like that color.
Hmm.
Yeah, super fun. And so let's pick a weird one. Well, let's start with a flat shape, and even though there's no difference in technique, it can be just kind of cool to see it. Just slide that down. And just get that one to fit right there. So again, we're just gonna cross over. And if you go around 3 fingers, you might have an easier time doing this next step, which is pulling that long part through. And then you want to bring your tweezers through the circle and pinch the cords above your bead. And then just tighten it up. And you pull your tweezers out and do this thing. And you get a really cool result. It takes a little practice, but honestly, it'll come really quickly. You'll just get it. It'll be something it'll click for you really fast. And let's see, let's get on a crystal again. Let's do one of these. I'm doing the alternate crystal Czech glass thing again. I like doing that for some reason. Maybe just because it gives it some dimension. And since I'm doing a bracelet length, I want to start thinking about my focal. So I want to do a focal center, and I might try to make it a little bit symmetrical. So it's just a regular crystal. Let's test and see. So if I have my closure there and it's coming around almost to the spot where I'd want to do a focal, Maybe I'll do this one. Yeah, let's do that. And so I'm going to kind of firm this. This is a long one, so this is probably the trickiest bead to get through. There we go. And I didn't treat these with any glue today. I just went with it, but you could, if you have something like a fabric glue or an instant needle or something like that, you can always optionally use that. But I just didn't feel like I needed it. It was working without it. So that's what I've been doing today. So there's that. Again, here's crossing over, pinch it, grab the tail, bring it all the way through, or sorry, the working side. And then I'm just going to bring these tweezers through our loop here and head over here to the bead. And again, I'm just going to pinch the cords on top of the bead here. If you notice there's any air in your knot, individually pull that strand. And there we go. And that's really all there is to it. That's so easy, so super fun. You can just go to town, create whatever you want. Another bead. And I'm going a little faster now. Give me a shout out in the chat if you want to see the knot broken down faster or slower. I just want to show how quick you can work these once you get the swing of it. And bring one of those beads on. So it's just coming along so fast. Super easy. And 2 more crystals, and then we'll do the closure. And I'm going to give some extra time for closing it, and we can even start a new one.
You can maybe do it a little bit slowly.
A little slower? Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
So just bringing on a bead here. And usually what I'll do is I'll just kind of fan out the strands just to get them so that they're in parallel to each other and not crossing each other, you know? And then just bring that.
To add spacing between the beads. Oh, hold on a second. To add spacing between the beads, I assume you just add a second knot in between the beads. I think that's what Kathy's trying to ask.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So you want more than just the gap of one knot? You could, yeah. You could just maybe measure 2 fingers away and then just do another knot by itself and have the cord just be in between. That would work, I think. And you could also get, you can get a size 8 seed bead. Let me show you on my bracelet. You can get size 8 seed beads over 2 of these cords. I did that without glue and without the help of a big eye needle or anything like that. So you could actually just string some black seed beads and use those to create space. So that's another way that would work. We're going to do that here at the end, so I'll show you guys all that. And so I'm going to go a little slower on these last 2 knots. And then we have tons of time. We can make another bracelet. We can do more. I just want to make sure I spend time on the barrel knot because I know there'll be lots of questions for that. But I'm going to go ahead and just bring it over your hand like that. And you can use 2 fingers or 3 fingers. It's up to you. Just go around. And
have you ever used this thread with macrame square knots?
I have a video. Yeah. We have a video out where we did a whole macrame bracelet with this thread.
And is it just called macrame bracelet?
I think that's what we called it. Yeah. I'm trying to remember what we called it now. It's on, if you just go to John Bead on YouTube, you'll see it.
Oh, there you go, Sandy.
Not a ton to scroll through there, but yeah, there's a tightening square knot there. And we used another one of the beautiful strands at Michael's. If you like these beads, these are a great option. for doing what we're doing here today too. You can find these on the strand wall at Michael's. And I had some other ideas too I was going to mention at the end for some other beads, and I might even show you guys. I'll have to pull that idea back together at the end here, but let's finish these last two knots, and then we'll play. We'll just try stuff, right? Okay, so I've got the bead on here, and I'm just going to go around. Again, you can use 2 or 3 fingers, whichever you like, and then just cross. So see the spot where you just bring it around, and then you want to hold that spot where it crossed, and maybe get your fingers free from it so you can get the long part through that loop that you created. So we created the loop by going around our fingers, and then we brought that working side through the loop. And now I'm going to bring my tweezers through the loop and pinch the main part of the cord. So you see this is the loop here that we just created. And I'm just pinching the spot where I'd like that knot to settle. And then just pull that loop tighter and tighter and tighter until it becomes pretty close on your knot like that. Sorry, close on your bead. I'm just going to pull those tweezers out, grab the tail.
Did you alternate the thread that takes the black bead?
Nope, no, it's this. I actually don't even worry about which one, because it's a little bit difficult, if not impossible, to tell which strand becomes which one after. Yeah, after the knot, it's like somebody hit a reset button and
undo.
Yeah, so I just slide it on whichever side without really worrying about it, because
Well,
you
there
can
you go,
just spin
Priscilla.
it. Yeah, and so again, here's just going to go around our fingers, cross, hold that spot, right, and then we're just going to take that long side and just pull it through that loop. And you just got a little loop here, see? And before I tighten it, I'll get those tweezers out. And we'll just pinch right above the bead.
Irene asks, what is the name of the thread?
It's called waxed polyester thread. And it's
There you go.
Gudebrod Thread Company. And the part number for this color is in the handout. But then you can also find the other 2 colors right next to it in the store. And I think if you just go on Michael's website or app and type in this word here, Gudebrod, this will bring up all 3 colors for you. And they're both in store. They have a ship to me option, and they also have, if you're in an area where your store does this, I have a buy online pickup in store option, and I also have a same-day delivery option on mine, which is really cool if you have like a sick kiddo at home and you can't get out. That's saved me more than once, and it's actually super reasonable. Like the delivery fee is not a lot. I can't remember what it was, but it's a less than Uber Eats, so really cool option if that's something you're interested in.
Take that, Uber Eats. Take that.
I know, right? And so I've gotten about this much length. I feel like I need more. So let's add another bead. Let's pick one that's a little bit, I don't know, something different, right? Let's do one of the round. We haven't done a round bead that's really big, so.
Marcy asks, is there a reason why we're using polyester thread instead of wax black linen or cotton thread instead?
Well, because this was my favorite, to be totally honest. That's what I chose. I like, it's got to be something I enjoy working with if I'm going to share it with y'all. So I just make sure it's something I like before I introduce it. And but of course I like all threads and fibers, because I'm kind of into I love yarn, I love crochet, I love all that stuff. So I have probably used everything at least once or twice, and I could tell you a little bit about it. But this one's just so easy, and it makes it easy to teach people because it sticks. I like that. So so here's one of the lighthouse beads that I put that on there, and I'm just going to bring that cord around and cross, and then just hold that spot. Get your fingers.
Would this work for an amite cord?
Amite? Yes, the Toho amite will be perfect for this.
Wonderful.
Yeah, in fact, I think I've seen some really beautiful tutorials out there that use that thread. I like the striations in it. It's really nice.
Well, there you go.
Just tighten that up. And there we go. So let's see, I'm just looking at that length again. And I know I'm going to have a sliding knot, so I want to leave some room for that to cross over, but I still want one more bead. So let's put one more on. Let's do one of these little curly Q beads here. Swirly beads. So we're just crossing over here. I just used 2 fingers that time. Bring that cord through. And through the belly of the knot, which is this loop here we made. And then pinch those cords right above the bead.
Are the tapestry needles all one size?
There's actually an entire wall of them. And I just, picked one that I knew fit the cord. But there's more than one option there for you. There's DMC. I believe there's a Clover brand. There's a Loops and Threads brand. And they're all going to work for you. The one that I'm using is the one that's in the handout with the skew, but you can really go for anything. And total truth here, I have a pile of these. I no longer have total traceability to what they were from originally because I have a whole, I have a crochet pile, I have a beading pile, and I pulled this out of my pile. But I was in the store yesterday and I laid eyes on this one, and this one is there, so I know it's for sure there.
Oh, okay.
So there's my bracelet. Oh, and I wanted to say, of course, if the tapestry needle is an issue of finding that or getting that, you don't actually need it. You can use a straw. There's another way to do it with a straw that will be kind of similar. And also you could use a plastic one. Sometimes for like yarn projects, they have little plastic ones that'll work too. Okay, so I think this is good. I'm going to go with this. One of my ends is a little long, so what I'm going to do is just make that the one I work with. So what you want to do when you've got you say you've got your design ready to go and you're ready to finish it, cross over each of the ends like that. So here's one side, and this is, in this case, this is my working side, the longer side, and this was the tail I left at the beginning. And I'm just bringing it around. If this was a necklace, you would just bring it around and have it meet like that. And so the next thing you're going to do is create a barrel knot. And the barrel knot is the same barrel knot that you've seen in the leather designs and lots of other kinds of concepts that are out there. It's just easier to do with this teeny thread with a little extra help. I mean, it can be done without. It's just because the thread's small, it's a little hard to see. So I feel like it's easier with one of these. Try it. If you like it, great. If you don't, there's tons of other ways to do it. You can also just get another strand and do a square knot right now. If you do a square knot, that's going to work the same way. And in fact, that's what I did here.
Would this thread work for heavier beads?
Oh yeah, these are heavy. This is a 12mm bead right here. And then this is the Gudebrod thread.
Is that as heavy as it gets?
No, I'm sure there's something heavier, but I mean, these aren't light. And I've been wearing this one a lot. It's not. Oh, that's the other thing. This doesn't stretch. It's super handy. Whereas your silk is going to stretch on you, this will not stretch on you. Not K-N-O-T, but N-O-T. Yeah. Okay, and so the barrel knot, don't be afraid of barrel knots. If you've never done them before, they're not hard. The one thing I would say to getting your placement, so the placement of a barrel knot, if you want to be able to tighten it down, and let me take this off and show you. Because we're using one of the ends to become the barrel knot itself, instead of adding a new strand, you want to place the barrel knot at a point where you think you're going to wear it. So, because this side can never tighten down, only this side can. See, I can get it all the way over to there, but this side's still open. And so, hindsight, I wish I'd made that knot a little closer to the side where I think I might want to wear it. So, long story short, place your barrel knot in the spot where you think you're going to wear it in its closed position. And so for me on this bracelet, I'm going to try to put my barrel knot like right about there. So
Kathy asked, sorry about that.
Oh, yeah.
Kathy asked, to make matching earrings, would you also use a knotting technique for stringing the beads before adding the hardware?
let's do some earrings. Yeah, let me show the barrel knot, and then we'll make a pair of earrings. Why not? We should.
Yeah, there you go.
I got some earwares right here. I have done earring. They're the fastest earrings you'll ever make in your life. If you like need a fast gift and just like need to like run upstairs and make a gift really quick, that's the one to do. It's like, yeah, we'll do that next. And so for the barrel knot though, all you gotta do is just bring those over to cross. And again, you just want to decide where its closed position is going to be. So kind of aim for that, right? And place the eye side on the side that you're not using a barrel knot to create. So we're gonna encapsulate this end, right? So the end that I'm not gonna coil, I'm gonna put my eye side toward it. And the reason for that is I'm about to coil it backwards toward the eye. So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna coil it around all the strands backwards towards here, and then I'm gonna pull it that way. And so we can also show this again with some scrap thread too. So again, I want to make sure I place my barrel knot kind of like over here maybe. So keep your eye free. And when you're getting started, you'll just want to pinch everything in your hands. So again, I've got all the cords together, the eye of the needle, I'm pinching it here. And here's the long end I'm working with. So start bringing it around the needle. You'll have to go through your beads, through your bracelet or your design. Try to keep it tight if you can. It's forgiving. It does not need to be perfect, but tighter is helpful. And at some point, once you've got your coil started, I find that I switch my hand and then I start working it this way. Just because I'm heading for that eye. Just keep everything over here. And all we're doing is we're just wrapping it around the tapestry needle as best we can. And we're heading, each new coil is being placed just on top of the other one. And I'm heading toward the eye. And that'll probably do it. I went around about 6 times. Pull through one more time. And then just get these out of the way. Okay, so let's get our ends. And let's just get those through the tapestry needle. There's one. And I do both ends at the same time. And you want to do that with your barrel knot because you want it to pull through at the same time. And then what I'm doing here is I'm going to pull them all the way through a little bit so I can make this even here. See? And now I'm ready to pull it through. So take that tapestry needle and just pull it through while pinching that coil that you made. Go slow, just kind of gently bring it through. And there we go. So here's the tails on the other side. We'll pull those. Tighten that. And so I've got a little spin here. So let me just bring this through one more time. Okay. So there's my barrel knot. And when I want to tighten it, let's pull this side, pull this side. And I think I'm going to wear it right about there. So there we go. So let's finish our ends. And I like to make mine have a little bit of space on these sides because when I wear my bracelets, when I'm typing on my keyboard, I don't like to have the beads under here because they go click, click, click on my keyboard while I'm working. So a lot of the times I have my mostly just thread on this side of my wrist. So that's something to think about though, whatever your style is. Also, if you wanted to tighten up the knot and make it prettier, you can pull each strand individually. So let me do that really quick.
Ali asks, can you show something made from the other colored threads? Possibly?
Yeah, this was one here that I've got handy. So there's the natural. And then if you want to see a gallery of some really pretty ones, on both my Instagram and John Beads, we have a bunch of knotted necklaces done with the white, black, and natural that were done with just a whole assortment of Czech glass. That is a really beautiful inspiration to check out there too. I think we posted them in the Facebook group as well. So you might.
And since this is a polyester thread, you can use a thread burner on it, right?
Yep. And it's waxed, and you can definitely. It doesn't fuse like Chinese knotting cord nylon. Nylon fuses differently, but it's still going to work. It's still going to get you, well, you know, one of the main reasons I do use a burner is because it cauterizes the end so it doesn't fray. This already doesn't fray, so it's kind of win-win no matter what, but you can use it if you like to use a knotter. Sorry, a thread burner. You can, but I actually didn't do that here for mine. I just didn't feel like it really needed it. But I'm going to show how to finish these ends really, really quick. And then I think we'll have some time for a quick pair of earrings. So super, super easy. I just brought on some beads. Oh, and if you needed to undo that barrel knot, it is possible the same way with like a beading awl, or you could even use your tapestry needle. And I'll just do one side on this so you can see how to finish, you know, one way you can finish it. Bring those beads on.
Can you like at any point like extend this pattern and make a necklace?
Of course, yeah. Yeah, that's what I did on the bigger one. You would, of course, not want to put your barrel knot on until you had your full length. But the only thing that I'm not 100% sure would work amazingly is if adding thread might be kind of hard. So you do want to cut that length. The length that you want to kind of cut that at the beginning, have that be part of your plan. Okay, so I'm going to just make this end maybe about yay here. So I'm just going to do another overhand knot. And another opportunity for my tweezers to help me out here is just to hold that placement where I'd like that knot to be. Just coming through and pinch those. Pull each strand individually in this case. And there's my little seed beaded end. And trim that maybe like right there. So there's one way you can make your lens. So let's do a pair of earrings. Let me grab some scrap thread. In fact, I can just use the extra from my bracelet here. And there's a decision to be made. If you would like your earring to have 2 strands coming off of it or just one. So you can do either. If you're going to have just one single strand, let's start with that and then we can add. Grab a pair of, let's see if I have open ones here.
Cynthia asks, if you don't want a barrel knot, how would you end it?
Oh, I would do some square knots, or if it's a necklace, the way we used to do our festival necklaces was we would just have a friend tie a bow behind our neck, or they were long enough that you could just do a permanent knot and then just wear them like that. Because they're so long, you just putting them over your heads. You don't even need it to slide. I only did that because in case you wanted to make a bracelet, I just wanted to give you guys options for how to close it. But you don't even need to do that. You can literally just do another overhand knot, trim it, put some little tassels on the end, and just wear it and go. Here we go. Here's some ready to go ear wires. Sorry, I was searching for those. Okay, I'm gonna use those. Okay, so I start with a large knot, and let's just work with one strand for now. If you wanted to have 2 strands, you would just have, you know, 2 strands large knotted, and then they would go through like that. But you know, let me untangle these guys here. Never mind. Entanglement appears rather permanent. Okay. All right. So I'm going to take the ends. So here's a strand that's about, let me tell you how long it is. It's about 14 inches. So it's pretty long, actually. It doesn't need to be this long, but I'm going to go with it and bring the ends together. I'm going to go through the loop on my ear wire. And so you'll get this, looks like that. And I'm going to bring these ends through this loop in a little large knot really quick. And so it'll just settle right there like that. And then if you want, you can do a quick overhand knot. This is optional. You can just go straight to beads if you want, but I find it kind of helps to get the, you know, the large knot to stay put. So again, through the belly of the loop there, and make sure that I'm staying down on this part. Sometimes the large knot will work its way up. actually. We'll be doing that knot again. Get it to come back down. There we go. It got caught in my coils. Okay, so you want your lark's knot to stay down like that. Mine had found its way up, and if it finds its way up too high, it's going to come out of this little top thing. So just be careful of that if that happens to you. And so that's why I want to get that extra knot on there. Bring those through. Okay. Let's get our tweezers in there and pinch that spot right there under our lark's knot. And pull tight. There we go. So now that's going to stay put for us. Okay. And pick a bead, any bead. Let's do one of these. Like, this will be a really pretty earring. I'm going to go with one of these. And so just slide on one. And we're going to do that same beautiful knot. Goes through there. It's trickier with a short strand, so even if you don't need it, more length can sometimes help this be less tricky. Kind of counterintuitive for seed beaters. Usually less length is good, but there we go. Tighten there. So there's our one bead. And so from here, it's just like your design. What would you like to do? Do you want more beads? Do you want to create some tassels with seed beads that are long? And then knot each end? So much you can do. What I used to do is I would just grab a few more beads, and then at the very end, I would fray them. This thread I find does not naturally fray. So you kind of have to make it fray, or what you can do is you can bring another strand through one of the beads above and use that as kind of, or just bring a tassel on. A tassel is a great way for finishing one of these. And you would just literally do what I'm doing here, just knot it to the bottom. Getting very tiny. Okay. Through that loop. And then just going to pinch above the bead there, and let's tighten that. Okay. So I think it needs one, maybe one more on there, and then we'll end it with a little tiny seed bead maybe. That looks really cute. How are we doing on time? We're okay. Let's see. I could either put a crystal or I could put one of these. I'm going to need to get another strand to make my pair. This is going to look very cool. Can you imagine this is a long strand? Actually, that would be a very cool necklace. Sorry, a very cool earring. But to just have like almost a shoulder duster length. It looks like just a little chain of beads coming down. That would be really pretty. I would have needed to cut more than the 14 inches that I had. Because keep in mind, we lark snotted, so that 14 became 7. So I'm only working with 7 inches. It's not going to be enough to make this much longer. So start with more. Start with like maybe 1.5 times that. Yeah, let's put a crystal. Round. Getting really short. Okay. There it is. So that's the general idea. I would want to keep going on that. I would want to make it just a little longer. I'm thinking, how long is it now? It's going to hang from my ear at about, so that's 3 inches. maybe 2 more beads. So I'm wishing I made it longer, but from here, all you'd have to do is just trim it. I mean, literally just trim the ends and it just looks very, very cool. So this is very, you know, beach style, just like surfer girl style, or even just like a bohemian look. It's very organic looking. So definitely try that. And then, yeah, any other questions for me about this design or ideas? Yeah, nice to have matching. I agree, Carol. I think one of the things I might have to do for mine is if I don't end up opening another strand, because sometimes I like to save those for our future classes, what I might do, I might do something kind of offset. I could do something like that. Oh, but hang on, that strand. Let's bring this back over. Oh, I'm okay because look, there's 3 of these beads on here. So I actually have exactly what I need to make a copy if I want. Could just go like that. And let's see what other bead I'd put on the bottom. Maybe just another one of those and I'd have it. Yeah, okay, I can finish that. That's great. Okay. So here's everything we made today. We've got, this was my warm-up one that I made before I sat down. I didn't finish the side of this one, but I'll do that. And then here's our original. And this really pretty necklace here.
You could maybe add more strands at the bottom and make a tassel.
Yeah, you could. You could do so many things. It's very forgiving and it's very easy to be creative with these kind of materials because there's really no limit to where you can take it. Everything's going to work that you can think of, really. And that looks very cool. I'm designing. I'm already dreaming of, because they're going to be a really great pair of earrings right here. And they'll match my bracelet. I'll just finish that other side and we'll have that all done.
We've
So
got someone who's new to knotting. How many different types of knots are there?
well, I mean, if you count macrame knots, probably infinite. There's a lot. And if you look at some of the schools, like the Chinese knotting cord school, where they do like you can take a knot and turn it into like a globe shape. I mean, there's so many things. Like, you know, I was watching my Instagram feed. I was just kind of scrolling through, and they've got my number on there. They know what I like to watch, and they're just showing me all these knots, like knot after knot after knot of all these cool like macrame things. And I just think about, oh, I can just take this cord and try that. And so that's what I've been doing actually. There was one I was watching the other day for how to see. I put seed beads on this end, but I saw one that it'd be easier to learn with a thicker cord, but it works with this cord. I've actually done it. But you take and you bring like you make a loop like that, and then you kind of cross it over, and then you just start bringing, I know you guys have probably seen this, you start bringing it through almost like a herringbone wrap. So one side, then it comes over, crosses, it goes through the other side, and you just keep going back and forth like that. Probably should have given more length, but you just keep going. And I'm just figure eighting around this loop here. And hold that tight while I pull this long end through. And it gives you this little, it's supposed to make a leaf shape. Mine's too small to see, but it makes a little leaf and then you just trim the end. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but that's one of my dreams, is to get it stable and make like a really big one so you can see the leaf start to form. So, whoop. Sorry about that. I just knocked my camera down. There we go. All right, so that's in a nutshell this class. I am going to take your advice. I think I didn't see if I didn't really take a tally, but I think people were interested in maybe seeing a pearl knot done with this cord.
Yeah, and someone's also asking, like, can you show how to add an additional thread, maybe?
It's tricky. So, like I was saying before, it's helpful if you plan your length in advance, but if you find that you need to add more, let me just see if I can, let's experiment with the end. I haven't finished on this one. But one way you could do it is you could just bring in your new, trim this end. So say this is your new length that you want to add. you could bring it on as, has anyone ever done a tapestry knot? They're tricky. I struggle to do them. I actually have a diagram that I go and I look at while I'm doing them, but that's what I would recommend doing, is a form of a tapestry knot. Let's see if I can remember. They're all over YouTube though, if you look them up, but you lay one out, it's trickier to do with 2 strands, because keep in mind, we're working with 2 strands here, so you'd have to make that knot work with 2. But the way I've seen it done is you kind of bring up a loop like one direction, and you bring up a loop with the other one in the other direction, and you just kind of connect them somehow, where one strand goes through this way, and then these strands would go through the loop in the other way. If I can even do it, let's see. If this works, I'm gonna be like, oh my god. Yeah, it's not working out for me now, but maybe it would if I was tightening it. The 2 strands is hard to get 2 strands to do that.
It looks like you almost had it.
I think I do actually. It's just I got to pull one individually, because that one little loop there is not tightening up for me. See this thing here? But that isn't essentially, that's essentially it. Oh, hang on. Okay. Oh, never mind. Yeah, I wasn't prepared to teach that one, but if you guys want me to do a knot class, we could do it. It's all of these techniques are things I learned from literally from just watching videos. So they're things that I wouldn't say I'm the inventor or the expert of them, but I use them and I like them and they're fun. They're kind of meditative to sit there and try out. And yeah, it's my own version of string theory.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. All right. So next week's class next week is really, really fun. Oh, thanks, Carol. Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Real quick, I'm overtime right now, but let me show you guys. We're gonna do the best ornament gift ever. So, ta-da! Really cool design. This is one of those epic journeys where you know, this is a peyote stitch class with delicates, but it's super dreamy and super fun. So definitely come for that. And then of course after that, it's Mark Montano's class. He's going to be teaching on November 10th. You guys don't want to miss that. It's the most beautiful earring design. And so I'll be there too. And then my last class for November is going to be our snowflakes. Pretty little snowflake earring.
That
And
looks so good.
Oh, thanks, David. And so keep your eyes peeled for our content coming up for December. I've got stuff in the works that I'm going to be loading to the website this weekend, actually. So maybe even early next week it might pop up. And of course we share everything in our blog. So if you're looking for the latest and greatest content that's coming up, and anytime we have a new class posted, sometimes Maria beats me to it and posts it before I do, because she's awesome. So yeah, but we always have you know, our updated, hey, this is what's coming up this week kind of posts going. So look for those. And then of course, if you make something beautiful and you want to share it, and we love sharing your work. So if you hashtag make it with Michaels and hashtag John Bead, we'll just love to see what you create. All right, guys. So I'm going to wish you happy weekend. Let me just come and say goodbye to you. Oh, thanks, Felicia. Have a great rest of your weekend, and rest of your Friday if it's early for you guys. And then I will see you next Friday. Happy beading.